Half Shell Oyster House offers happy hour at the bar and throughout the restaurant every day from 3 to 6 p.m. Happy hour includes $2 off all glasses of wine, liquor, martinis, mixed drinks, and draft beer, $2.50 on all domestic bottled beer, and $3.50 on all craft bottled beer. So come on out to Half Shell Oyster House, located at 115 Lower Park Cove, Suite 105, Flowood, Mississippi, 39232, or you can give them a call at 769-257-7586. And hey, tell them Sonia sent you.
She say sports. She say sports. She say sports. She say sports.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia, and welcome back to She Say Sports. Please welcome back award-winning journalist, host of Listen In With KNN, and co-host of our segment, Kelsey's Korner. Please welcome Kelsey Nicole Nelson. How are you, Kelsey?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me back. Always a pleasure and joy to join you. I love when we talk sports together.
I know, me too. It's so much fun. So, very knowledgeable young lady. So, Kelsey,
Thank you.
Let's get right into it. The Commanders were pretty busy last week. Last week, the Washington Commanders traded defensive end Chase Young to the San Francisco 49ers for a third-round pick. The move cuts ties with their most productive pass rusher this season and signal a change in direction for the franchise, especially after trading fellow defensive end Montez Sweat to the Chicago Bears. Thank you, God, for a 2024 second-round pick. Young has been a free agent after this season, and Washington declined to pick up his fifth-year option. So, Kelsey, it seems the Commanders are making moves to be real contenders next season. What does this change of direction mean for the Commanders?
Well, first, let me say the Commanders obviously didn't care about my last week being restful or peaceful. Like, this is a team that's usually not too busy during the NFL trade deadline, but all of a sudden, boom, boom. And we're talking about two big names. I think folks have to remember this defensive line has been what Washington has prided itself on since 2020 when things kind of got together. I actually saw this defensive line join together, Sonia, because I was working for the team then. So I remember when Chase Young, was drafted, the hometown kid coming home to play for the hometown team. But I think folks have to remember cap space is a thing that exists in the National Football League, and Washington just didn't have enough of it. They signed Deron Payne to a big contract earlier this year, back in March. If folks remember, Deron Payne coming off a career year for him last season, and he's obviously been invaluable to this team. But you give him 4 year, $90 million, and before that, back in 2021, extended Jonathan Allen's contract, and made it a lot harder to keep these. Again, there's a reason why these guys, they're in high demand. And Chase Young, remember when he first came in, 7.5 sacks, Sonia, defensive rookie of the year. Now his 2021 campaign wasn't as such. People were talking about him missing the 2021 OTAs and potentially, getting big-headed and things of that nature. Then the injury bug happened and he wasn't able to attend or missed a lot of, obviously, this prior season. But finally this season, we got to see Chase Young back, on the football field looking healthy. But I think folks were surprised by both of them being gone, Tanya. I mean, it's like everybody knew in Washington it had to be one or the other. I think some folks were saying maybe Montez Sweat more so because Chase Young will be harder to move because of the injury history and, because the teams maybe being a little bit more cautious. Montez Sweat is joining a team that is basically wearing glass and pass rush. So it makes sense why they added him, though they have nothing to really play for this season. But Sonia, what the Bears have, I think, is cap space and cap room, for Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat has, I think he's honestly been underrated. I think because he's playing with such a good defensive line, I don't think enough folks have been talking about him. But you're talking about a Bears team that's projected to have folks more than $110 million in salary cap space next season, right? So they could sign Sweat to a new contract before free agency hits. And remember, there was expiring contracts with both Young and Montez Sweat. So all that to say, I think Washington's saying, all right, look, they're about to usher in kind of a new era. The Josh Harris era, we kind of see it kind of quiet. We've seen them at games. We've seen Magic Sennett spying off his tweets after games. But now we've really kind of seen the first kind of leadership thing from the ownership group, right? Essentially saying, hey, we're cutting ties. And I think fans, kind of being like, well, what's next? I think for me now, I'm like, okay, I think we're going to see more Casey Hill, who I think is a name in Washington, Sonia, that not enough people are talking about. He's been pretty solid this season. James Smith-Williams. I mean, there's other guys that, of course, they're going to have to step up now. And then some of the rookie guys that we really haven't got to see yet, will have more of a chance to shine. Luckily for them, the Commanders, I think, are at a place where the playoffs look bleak, but they're not still completely out. So, like there's still a little sunshine on the other end. But all that to say, I think the secondary is what I've been more worried about in Washington. I think the front four proved, even when Chase Young was injured, they were the front three and they were able to do it without him. And of course, they had other people stepping in. But all in all to say, now it's this Washington team about to build a new identity, right? So we see the defense making strides and making changes. And of course, next season, I think the big thing will be if we do get new leadership and coaching, will the quarterback stay the same? Sam Howell has also been under some scrutiny and question marks. Some people were actually also, I should mention, looking at Jacoby Brissett. We were hearing that teams were fielding, Washington was fielding some calls for him because we know some teams are in need of quarterbacks. And Jacoby Brissett has the veteran experience and the size that a lot of teams want. But all in all, it was the two defensive kind of stars to go. I think Chase Young will be, I'm excited, Sonia, for him and Nick Bosa on opposite sides, a playoff contender. And then Montez Sweat gets paid. And hey, it's going to be a cold winter, but, the money will look right at the end of the day.
Now that's true.
So yeah, excited for both of them.
So, the 49ers have been on a 3-game losing streak. And, my Bears, we've only won 2 games. I'm sorry. Will the trade benefit both players, Chase and Montez?
I think the biggest thing for Montez Sweat is the fact that the Bears could actually franchise tag him for 2024. And Sonia, the cost would be $20.5 million, which isn't bad for a franchise tag. All right. So I think at the end of the day, I think Montez Sweat, I think he gets benefited financially. Now, in terms of joining a winning team, sorry, Sonia, I know the Bears are your team, but they're a team that's been struggling, So, but Chase Young, I actually think it's a better end of the deal because the 49ers, again, are still a contending team. I think he really can have a chance to prove himself, with that team. Because the big question about Chase Young, was how will he bounce back after injury? People scratch their head after you have those, injuries and think, can you make a comeback? Can you show, any former glimpses of yourself, on the football field? So I think all in all, I think for Chase, maybe the hardest thing was leaving your hometown team because, he's a kid that grew up in the area, watching this Commanders team and wanting to play for them. But, as they say, all good things come to an end. And I don't even know if you can call it a good thing because the Commanders right now, their record isn't really a good thing. So, yeah. But, I think in the long run, like he's joining a team where he could actually have a chance to not only get to the postseason, but potentially win in the postseason. So I'm super excited for Chase. I know his dad, Greg, and just excited for the Young family.
Absolutely. And I wish them both well, especially Montez. So we will be watching, that's for sure. Continuing on the trade train, the Sixers traded 10-time All-Star guard James Harden to the Clippers. Yeah. The oldest team in the NBA just got over. And they're so young, but I mean, they're dog years in sports. Doesn't seem like a good mix to me. We have Leonard, George, Westbrook, and now Harden. And Kelsey, what's your thoughts on this trade? Because they are all like kind of ball hogs. So what are your thoughts on this trade?
You just said it. Lots of guys that like to shoot the basketball.
Oh my gosh.
but you're going to have to spread the basketball. It's a team sport. Now, if anything, maybe it'll make it a little bit harder for defenses to have to know how to guard. I think also you're going to have to remember it takes time to gel and to mesh. This is what I've been telling people about this Washington Wizards team that has 8 new players. It takes time to build chemistry, folks, with people. So I think the biggest thing for one, I think we just want James Harden happy. Like, James, we've seen you go through a lot of disgruntlement and unhappiness and just back and forth. And I think, honestly, I preach this, I think to play good basketball, your mental has to be right. So I really hope that James finds himself in a good mental space. I know he's excited to play with Westbrook. They go back to LA Boys and Girls Club days, Sonia. And I think people know they didn't really like how things ended up in Houston. Just wasn't the best. So I think, them getting back together will be great. Obviously, he knows him. It's always great to have, somebody, but I think you said it. I think I'm looking at a lot of offense, but I need this team to play defense, right? Like
Yes.
you got to play both. You got to play both to win games. Now, do I think this helps the Clippers? Sure. I mean, James Harden, when he's at his best, he's a spectacular player. We're talking about one of the greats, in the game. But again, I'm looking at the NBA right now. I'm looking at the Celtics, a team, that I think we kind of knew what they'd be doing, what they're doing. The Golden State Warriors, who Steph Curry just continues to be Chef Curry. I mean, what can you say? I mean, I don't need to explain anything else,
Right.
about the man. So I think, when you look at the true contenders, you have to look at the team can be a contender. Like I said, I think it's going to come down to, can this team play defense? And can they just get along? This is also a team with big personalities. So yeah, and maybe except
Very
Kawhi.
big
'Cause,
personalities.
Kawhi, we're begging him to talk sometimes, but other than
Begging him.
him, but other than him, you have a lot of personality, in that locker room. So I think, it's going to be up to coach, obviously, to try to contain that. But at the end of the day, play winning basketball. I think the West has been interesting. You're looking at a Lakers team that's coming off maybe a more surprising loss.
Yeah.
As of late, to the Magic. And, and of course, LeBron James, though, doing LeBron James things at his age is still incredibly spectacular. So I think the West is super interesting. But, I think for James Harden, I think for him it benefited, because it was looking like anything wasn't going to happen. Like, it looked like he was just going to have to somehow make do, with the 76ers, even though I'm very glad I will say they got rid. You don't ever want somebody to be there that doesn't want to be there. Like you can't make somebody want to be on something, right? So that would have been hard. But I think all in all, I'm not jumping ship and saying they're going to win the championship. I'm definitely not saying that, but I think this has made it a lot more interesting offensively. But again, I want to see how things progress, throughout the season with all of these big name players on this team. Because on paper it looks great, but it's got to transcend to the court. It's got to transcend to the court.
It has to. I'm going to see if they're going to sacrifice, and try to make things work, because like you say, it is a team sport and they have to try to. Teamwork makes the dream work. I mean, that's it, period. I mean, we have to work it out, guys. So I hope, I don't hope, because I'm a Bulls fan, so I really don't.
You're like, you could care less about what happens, in LA. But, I think it really is interesting too, though, because I think you look at somebody like Ty Lue, and if there's anybody who could maybe get things together, it's head coach Tyronn Lue.
I'm so proud of him, how he went from a player to a great coach. He has done an amazing job.
Respected coach, yes, I completely agree with you.
I absolutely love it. And speaking of NBA, U.S. Department of Justice investigating, oh my gosh, NBA over alleged antitrust violations targeting the Big Three. And I'm gonna give a little, what's going on for some people who don't know. According to TMZ Sports, the DOJ launched an inquiry months ago examining alleged anti-competitive behavior on the part of the NBA aimed at squashing the Big Three's growth. Those allegations range from NBA purposely throwing its weight around to prevent sponsors and other potential partners from doing business with the Rap Legends League, to discouraging television networks from carrying the Big Three. Kelsey.
It's just messy. It is just messy.
So messy.
I think people need to remember we're a capitalistic society, and there's a thing that is called freedom of competition, right? It's the reason why, Sonia, when you go into a shopping mall, if you still go to malls, which I'm a fan of malls, Amazon, please don't end all of our malls. I need to go in and shop sometimes.
Please.
But, it's the reason why, you're able to say Target or Walmart, and they're able, and it's a reason why they're able to say, hey, we'll do a price match guarantee check, right? It's supposed to keep the competition going, again, giving people opportunity to obviously be able to pick what they like. So all that to say, I think obviously the NBA is king of basketball, here in America, and I don't think that's going any way. But we also need the NBA to play fair. And again, these are right now, allegedly, it's being investigated. It's an ongoing investigation, but I think it's if true, I think it would be very disheartening to hear. Ice Cube, I think somebody that has even more, especially for the young kids, probably even know him more as being a businessman now than his rap career, like someone who has really transcended himself, in a positive way as a Black man in America, which I think has been great to see. And I remember when they first launched this back in 2017, I actually had a chance to meet his business partner, Jeff, back at an NABJ convention a couple of years ago. And I love the concept, yes, 3-on-3, retired players I think what made it interesting, is that you look at players who go overseas, obviously when they're not signed by an NBA team, or if they want to make more money, outside of the NBA. And essentially people are saying like, this league isn't able to grow, like NBA owners aren't able to invest in it, for fear of retaliation, from the NBA, which would suck. We're hearing things about referees not being able to officiate in the Big Three. It's like, come on, like let people get their monies on you. Like, look, it's so expensive to live. So all that to say, it's like people are just saying like right now it's seeming like if true, and I'm gonna have to say if true, allegedly, that the NBA is not playing fair with the Big Three, which is a newer league, which has been fun. We've seen them going around the country. We've seen the legends come, to this. So all that to say, I think we want Ice Cube to win. We've also honestly, I think why it's become an issue is because we've heard current players actually wanting a chance.
And that's what I
play in the Big Three league, right? So I think that's when it's like, you can't touch our products.
That was my next question. Do you think the NBA is intimidated because current players are wanting to play in the Big Three, and that which will bring more viewers and more sponsorship?
Right. And so it's a question, it's kind of like, I think for so long the NBA hasn't had a question, right? Like European players come over here, to play. And it's why it's made the in-season tournament so interesting, right? Because overseas, that's like a thing, right? When you're able to compete, for championship trophies throughout the season. Where over here we haven't had it. So I think the NBA being able to cater to out-of-seas players has been a positive. But all of a sudden, when another league caters to current players, it's like, hold up now. Don't come in my territory.
Right.
So I do think the NBA is trying to find a way where they can play nice with the Big Three, but I understand them. It was interesting. You look at what you look at the WNBA and what the AU League, did, right, with the players being able to play over there. But the NBA is obviously a whole different beast. And I think things will play out. I'm actually surprised the story isn't getting as much traction. I'm not hearing, I feel like a lot about, like, I feel like TMZ broke this and I feel like it didn't go many places. So that's been interesting to kind of follow. But I think it is something to definitely closely watch. People control things. So,
absolutely.
But it's one to follow. DOJ is nothing to play with. All right, yo. When the Department of Justice gets involved,
definitely nothing to play with. So if they are found guilty of this, they will have a very hefty fine. Hold on, y'all. I left my water. So yeah, they will have a very hefty fine. So I'm having some sinus stuff, y'all. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. Feel better, Sonia.
I know. I got to go to the doctor and see what's going on. So this story is so weird to me.
I know where we're going. I've been talking about it.
I don't know how to feel. However, CBS reports former NBA All-Star Dwight Howard has denied that he has sexually assaulted a man in Georgia during a 21 encounter. A man named Stephen Harper, who has agreed to be named publicly, filed a civil lawsuit against Howard in July, alleging assault and battery, false imprisonment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress.
Right.
So, Kelsey, the gentleman, let me just give a synopsis for people who don't know what's going on. Stephen said that he and Howard met online. They were supposed to meet up for a sexual encounter. Howard reached out to him and said, I have someone else coming. And he goes by the name Kitty.
Right.
Are you cool with the threesome? The gentleman said no, but when he got there, Kitty was there as well as Howard. And he is saying he was sexually assaulted. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, this one, I think it's one you have to, carefully follow, because anything with the legal, and I want people to know this is a legal case. Like everyone's talking about, Dwight Howard came out. And I want to say this very appropriately. Dwight Howard did not come out. All right. What happened was Dwight Howard got accused in a lawsuit by an accuser that was agreed to be named. And I think if you know the law, folks have to remember, a lot of times we don't name sexual assault victims. As Sonia said, this person agreed to be named. Essentially, pulling receipts, talking about how they met online. They met on Instagram, hopped into Instagram DMs. Everything was supposed to be consensual. And right now we're hearing it was consensual, as you said, between two people, but a third party was involved in that. This victim allegedly did not want this other person involved. So not wanting a threesome, and essentially saying he was forced to do sexual acts at Dwight Howard's home, which he was invited to by Dwight Howard. So all this to say, this one is one, Dwight Howard has tried to have it thrown out. I think what makes it interesting is that the report wasn't filed until about a year later. And then we're hearing that police actually had a hard time getting in contact, with this victim and having, trying to go back and forth. And right now, too, I think it's important to know it's a civil case. Civil case, all right? Not a criminal case, so civil case. What essentially means money will probably be, right? I think that's kind of why Dwight Howard is kind of like, y'all in my, and this is my thing too. Dwight Howard saying people are in his business. It wouldn't be out in business if you weren't accused of sexual assault. This is why it's very important, folks, to know once you've been accused of a crime, it is everyone's business. It's public record. You go to court, and that's kind of why, as much as I hope everybody, as much as you can, please just stay out the court system, because then people won't have to be with your business. But he's making it more, about people talking about his bedroom, but your bedroom was a place where a crime was alleged. I just have to say it, you know what I mean? So this is not just people talking about, what you're doing in your spare time. Like, you were literally accused by someone that you did admit to reaching out to. You did admit to having sexual relations with him. I'm talking about his Instagram video. And it's kind of made it everybody else's business. But this is one you just hate to see. Dwight Howard, you talked about it. I mean, all the accolades, we know, NBA champion, we know the All-Stars. Man, that we almost played 2 decades here, last played.
And maybe a future Hall of Famer. I mean,
just, but this is part of his story. I mean, this is part, of the story. This is something we're continuing to follow. I should say we haven't heard anything from Miss Kitty. So right now, it's kind of basically 2 people pointing fingers, at each other. But all that to say, I think this will be probably settled. Again, I think Dwight Howard's eventually just going to want people to stop talking about it. And I'm sure some monetary funds, will be funneled, for this to kind of stop.
Who haven't we heard from?
Well, we haven't heard from the third person. I should say alleged third person. Even I guess they both said sort of Miss Kitty, the kitty person, right? We haven't heard from them at all. So it's they always say, so essentially we have 2 people pointing fingers. I think we would like to hear from this person.
Sorry.
But unless the person is subpoenaed, you can't really make, you can't hear from them. But it was just messy. Like, I think the story came out of left field. Like, I don't think everybody really knew, what to do with this information. But I think for Dwight Howard, I mean, he is out the NBA right now. I don't think this will ever help him. Obviously, if he ever wants to play again, this definitely won't help his case. But I just don't like people kind of like acting like they're the victim when essentially you created this situation, right? Nobody made you reach out on Instagram and slide into DMs. I would also tell anybody to pause before inviting someone you don't know to your house of residence.
Okay.
There's just certain things that, you should probably do to protect yourself.
And NDAs, they have NDAs everywhere. So
a lot of people with money use those. So, I think all in all to say, Dwight Howard, again, kind of did this, to yourself. And, if this is true, again, my heart goes out to the victim. Nobody should ever be forced to do anything that they don't want to do. But this just it just hurts him. Like, I don't know what else to say. So then it just hurts Dwight Howard's legacy. It's a bad look. It's a bad look.
Kelsey, a few years back we heard rumors of him being gay.
Right.
He squashed those rumors. But you said earlier when you started talking about this that it's not him coming out. So I mean, but he admitted it was consensual sex.
Right. Once you say not voluntarily coming out.
Not voluntarily coming out.
Forced.
But he
still hasn't said he's gay. I guess that's what I'm saying, Sonia. Like,
I know what you mean.
He said he had like consensual sex with a man, which by definition most of society would essentially say you're a gay man. But I think, everybody's able to self-identify with their sexual, fluidity. And I feel like he still hasn't said those words. So I think he's saying like he's being called that by a trial of a popular opinion. And again, I'm just saying what it looks like. And he still hasn't said, those words. It wasn't like a Jason Collins thing, Sonia, where, just come out. You know what I mean? So I think you just have to look at it that way. And I'm just saying, don't praise him. Because I see some people praising him, like he didn't come out voluntarily. And this came out because of a lawsuit. It came out because of a lawsuit, right? So this is not something to praise, for him like standing up for some folks. It was not that. I don't like people getting credit for stuff they didn't do. So just have to look at that.
Look,
it's interesting.
We'll just keep our eyes on that one. That's all I can say, because it is very, very interesting. And I don't know. Just
messy. Dwight, I don't even know what to say.
I know. it's just messy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Moving on to my beloved Texas. Texas
Yes.
Ranger is the last of the 4 men's major professional teams in the DFW area to finally win a championship. Congratulations to the Texas Rangers and welcome to the club. I lived in DFW for 9 years, and actually that was the first professional game I went to after I moved there. I had gone to a Mavs game, Mavs game or whatever, but that was my first time. And I'm not a baseball fan. And long story, my granddaddy used to make us watch it, and I hated baseball because of that. However, I love to go to the games sometimes. I enjoy the games. Let's see. The Rangers won the series against the Arizona Diamondbacks 4-1. And the last game, they shut the Diamondbacks 5-0. Kelsey, were you able to watch any of the World Series? And are you a baseball fan?
Unfortunately, I was not able to watch. I would tell you, I think I wouldn't say I love baseball, but I've always been around baseball. I grew up going to Frederick Keys games and watching minor league games, and of course, being able to watch Orioles games here in the area and Nats games. Yeah. And now one of my jobs is working with MLBBro.com, so actually highlighting Black players in the games.
That's awesome.
But I will say, this was an interesting World Series. One, because I don't think. And people have been talking about the ratings. It wasn't watched as much as I think it should have been. Yeah. I think, unfortunately, I think you had 2 teams that maybe haven't had as big a fan bases. I also think the World Series, I think the timing is always very interesting. It's almost happening in like the most busiest part, right, of the sports season, right? Because you have everything literally going on. Everything. Right? We just wrapped WNBA finals, right? We have NBA going on. We've got, of course, the NFL going on, right? It's a lot happening. That's not to say anything bad about baseball. But I think the biggest thing to note is that, the Rangers and we're a team that were able to, one, get past the Astros, and, the Astros being a team, obviously, that many people had high expectations of. We know how well they've been as of late. Right. And this was a team that, like, 2 years ago, just quite frankly sucked. I mean, I'll just be honest with you.
That's true.
Like, I read a line in a Texas paper, and it said, for many of their 52 seasons, the Rangers have made losing an art form. Powerful line. I mean, just wow. I mean, that doesn't describe kind of the state, of the Rangers. And so I think for them to be able to bounce back, you talked about, and this is a team that folks in my area, are familiar with, because they used to be the Washington Senators, and then they moved down to Texas. But all that to say, I think this is a team that, wasn't talked about a lot, but they made the right moves. They invested in their roster, and got got the right leadership in place, and now they're able to be World Series champions. So it's a great story. I wish more people were talking about it. I think it's hard in Texas again, because it's such a big place with so many busy things happening, right? Like, I think a lot of people are now first talk about the Cowboys and stuff, but I think team owner Ray Davis needs to be given a round of applause again, because of the free agent stars he was able to bring in. Again, you have to give them props for being able to defeat the Astros, as I mentioned, in the American League Championship Series. So all in all, I thought it was great. Keep talking about them. I know the parade, the thing. So I'm happy.
I gotta buy me a Rangers shirt now. I got all this shirt. I gotta buy a Rangers shirt now. So I'm excited for them, happy for them. So congratulations again. Congratulations to this DFW area. I know you all are ecstatic, because it's been a long time coming, I'm
happy for them. My next layover in DFW, I'll have to grab me some merchandise.
You gotta get some merch. Well, Kelsey, as usual, it is always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm blessed.
You're so welcome. As you know, before we leave, we got to play You Can Get With This and You Can Get With That.
Let's do it.
For the listeners and myself to get to know the guests better. I'll ask you questions, and you choose the one that best fits you. And since we're in November and it's Thanksgiving month, the month of Thanksgiving, we're going to do some Thanksgiving questions.
It'll make me hungry. Let's do it.
First question, fried turkey or smoked turkey?
Oh, that's a hard one, but give me smoked turkey. Give me smoked turkey.
Right. I like them both. You're right, it's very hard. Pecan pie or sweet potato pie?
Ooh, pecan pie all day. I can eat pecan pie every day the rest of my life, and I'd be 100 pounds more too, but that's fine.
They're so delicious. But I'm making both of those for our dinner. Macaroni and cheese or potato salad for your side?
Oh, that's so tough, because when I go to my soul food places, those are my two sides. I know they're bad because it's like it's starch and fat. Ooh, but I love me some cheesy mac and cheese, especially with some smoked cheese on top. Because potato salad, the right person has to make it. And I've had
the right person, period.
So the potato salad really depends. Mac and cheese I've seen messed up too. I don't want it gooey, like, you know, I got crispy top, you know, cheese. I want the cheese falling as I take it out. Sonia, like, I love me some mac and cheese.
Oh, your family, your mom and dad are from Mississippi for sure.
Oh, the mac and cheese is right.
I already know the answer to this, but I'm asking anyway. Thanksgiving parade or football game?
Oh my gosh. Oh, you know, that's hard. But you know what? I'm actually not surprised because I've seen so many football games. I used to do Thanksgiving parades when I was in pageants, and I used to love it so much because it was a great way to connect with the community. So I will do Thanksgiving parades.
Wow.
I think people would run up, and it made me feel like a celebrity. Like, it was so cool. It was such a great
That is so cool. Awesome. Now this one hilarious because I know most black families are not on time, but my family has already. Well, I'll ask the question then. Do y'all eat at noon or after 3 o'clock?
If my mom watches this, I'm sorry to out you, but we are definitely a 3 o'clock family. And I know she's gonna tell me to get in the kitchen and help her more. But yeah, we are not noon. And as you said, and I love my black family to death. But noon is very hard with a black family.
We've been doing this since as long as I can remember. At noon, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, noon.
Oh, I am very impressed. We sometimes eat when the sun be down. We just start eating stuff.
Now,
I have my little snack bag.
I'm on my second plate at that time. Now the younger generation, like my niece and her husband, they've been Rachel and Thomas. Sorry for the bus out, but they make us a little late sometimes, so we pushed it back to maybe 12:30 or 1, but usually noon. Sure.
Yeah.
So, do you prefer leftovers for breakfast, or you're done after Thanksgiving Day?
Oh, for breakfast, lunch, I love me some leftovers. I am not too proud. Put that stuffing and gravy and turkey in the microwave, and I'm good.
You mentioned shopping earlier. Black Friday shopping in the store or online?
I like the store. I know it gets crazy sometimes. I feel like online you don't get, I don't know, it's not the same thrill. I feel like they'll be giving you the same deals. Like, I'm old enough to remember when you used to have to stand in line to get coupons, extra coupons for Black Friday. So I like going in the store. And then you find things, it's probably bad because I get things I don't probably need, but I see it, I'm like, oh, it's a good deal, and I grab it. I like going to the store so I can, like, you know, I feel like I see more of like what the possibilities.
Yes. Exactly. Giblet gravy or cranberry sauce?
Oh my gosh. You know, give me gravy. Give me gravy. I used to love cranberry sauce as a kid. I think as I've gotten older, I get less out the can. But gravy, I drench my turkey and stuffing in my gravy. So I love me some gravy.
So after you watch the football game, you've eaten, do you go play touch football or you sleep on the couch?
I'm old now, Sonia, so I cherish my nap. Catch me the next day for football, kids.
Absolutely. Last one. Oh, this better be right. You prefer your mama's Thanksgiving meal or you get it catered?
Oh my gosh, definitely my mom's. You know, I won't out this grocery store because I don't want to say I'm hurting business. But I got a Thanksgiving meal one time from I think my parents were out of town or something. And it was the nastiest Thanksgiving meal I ever had. I mean, it was bland. I was trying to do everything to it. I literally called my mom. I was like, I miss you, Mom.
I know.
It was nothing close. And that's not to say that some places don't have it. But I got it from a chain grocery store. And it was just bad. It was just bad. So give me home cooking every single day.
It's nothing like mama's cooking. I don't care.
Yes. And my mom can throw down.
Can you cook, Kelsey?
Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest, y'all. I can cook, but do I have the time to cook? I think that's the question now.
That's the question.
Because I have too many jobs, so it's hard to cook. But that means my kitchen is very clean.
It better be. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Had a blast.
Absolutely. Tell the listeners how they can follow you and listen to Listen In With KNN.
Yes, thank you so much. You can follow me on our website, KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Follow me on social media, The Real K Nelson. And check out ListenInWithKNN.com. I am bringing on a talented new team. I already have 2 new wonderful writers. So we have all new content coming up on the website, ListenInWithKNN.com. And I'll be soon dropping an all-new episode on my audio show. You will not want to miss it. I will tease it a bit. It involves Angel Reese. Drop mic. Boom. Down.
Oh, okay.
So tune in.
Absolutely. And guys, you can follow me at She Say Sports on Facebook, She Say Sports 23 on Instagram, and also please subscribe to our YouTube page, She Say Sports. Well, that's my show for today. Until next time, this is Sonia and Kelsey with Kelsey's Korner at She Say Sports.
Bye, guys.
Bye.